Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Penguin Beach. We are down here at the Stony Point African Penguin and Seabird Colony on a grey, gloomy day in Betty's Bay. My name is Byron, and I'm going to be your naturalist for the day. And behind the lens, we have Flippy. And we have decided to head down to the jacuzzi today. So let's see what the penguins are up to down here at the jacuzzi on this cold winter's day along the coast. I would like to remind everyone that we are coming to you live, and it is an interactive show, and we would love to hear from you. You can send us your comments and questions to Twitter. You just need to use the hashtag @WildEarth. You can also head over to the WildEarth website, register yourself, and post your comments and questions under the live feeds. And if you are under the age of 18, please send us an email to kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. There were some really cool questions that came through yesterday, a couple that went unanswered, and throughout today's show, we'll see if I manage to find any answers to those questions. It is grey and gloomy, a little bit of moisture around in the air. Fortunately, the heavy rain that fell this morning has seemed to have backed off perfectly for Penguin Beach, and I really hope that we can stay with you for the full duration of today's show and avoid a rainy Western Cape day. It seems that whenever I'm down at Penguin Beach and rain is forecast, that the rain stays away. So I'm hoping that I am a lucky charm and we do not get wet. We have been chatting about the weather, and I'm very interested to find out what the temperature is going to be today. So let's head over to the weatherman or weather lady and see what we can expect at Stony Point today. So it is going to be just a little bit chilly today and quite nice and grey, quite a typical day that we can expect towards the end of May in the Western Cape. And I don't see that we're going to get too much sunshine, but if I was an African penguin or any bird down here on the coast, I would be quite happy. It is a very comfortable temperature and good time to be a bird. So I don't expect that we are going to see any signs of heat stress from the African penguins down here today. We have quite a nice waddle of individuals down here, consisting of adults as well as juveniles. Amanda, wow, I am so excited as well. I'm glad that the excitement levels are peaking on your side. I really have been looking forward to this day for quite a while. Today I wanted to come check in on the Shire, and there was a lot of anticipation from my side. I wanted to see what has been going on down here. Of course, the chicks are quite old and they should be able to fend for themselves, which will enable the adults to both head out offshore to go and feed.
My favorite thing about WildEarth are the animals and the interaction and the ability to wait and watch and not rush off. You get to watch their behavior and learn about the individuals. I would like to see the hyenas at the hyena den, and I have. There they are. Look at that. If I could be any animal, I would be a cheetah. I would love to run fast.
Our Western Cape coastline is graced with the Cape fur seal. This playful species is curious and entertaining. At Hout Bay Seal Rescue Centre, seals in need are rescued, fed and nursed back to health by our well-trained team of dedicated staff and volunteers. This wonderful legacy of the centre is continued as these protected creatures are rehabilitated and released back into the wild.
So it's going to be very, very interesting over the next couple of days to see where they pop up. They are playing hard to get, and I must say the chicks at the Shire have played quite hard to get since they hatched, actually. I know that Jax has been quite fortunate and has been able to get really, really good sightings of them. So I'm waiting very, very patiently for it to be my turn. I'm getting jealous. I want to see Frodo and Flippy, and I want to see how they are getting along. What I'm really hoping for is that the adults come back from shore and the chicks pop up. Hello, Samantha. That's a great question, seeing that we have a grey, gloomy day today and there has been a little bit of rain. And we're not expecting too much sunshine. So the chicks at this stage of their life, well, Frodo and Flippy at least, they are close to 30 days old around that time. So they've developed a very, very thick secondary coat of down, which is going to keep them nice and warm. And they're also going to be huddling together with other penguin chicks. So they're going to be able to utilize the body heat of their siblings or some of the other penguins that have come to the creche to join them. When the chicks are young, and we have observed this down here at the Shire, one of the adults always tends to the chicks, and by having that adult present, the chicks will be kept warm and they will ensure that their body temperature remains at the correct temperature so that they do not suffer from hypothermia during these very, very cold times. So we have actually seen some penguins come in from the ocean, and it's very, very exciting because we don't know what to expect. Could it be some of the individuals from the Shire? Will we see the chicks today? I don't know. The possibilities are endless. The nice hissing call of an Egyptian goose. We just heard that very, very nicely. Of course, one of the more boisterous and colourful characters down here at Penguin Beach as well. Let's just watch this individual for a little bit and see what it gets up to. It looks like it's busy preening its feathers.
If you are a WildEarth explorer, we have exciting news for you.
The winner of this month's prize giveaway will win a hamper full of Explorer merchandise.
Like this fantastic t-shirt that comes in plenty of great colours, a very useful tote bag, or even a cap.
For those in the southern hemisphere that's heading into winter, a sweatshirt to keep you warm.
Head over to the WildEarth Explorers page. Sign up to be a WildEarth Explorer and you could win all of these goodies.
WildEarth, it's in your nature. There is just a little bit of rain that has started to fall, so we might wipe the lens every now and again. Fortunately, it is coming side on to the camera, so if you see something that looks out of the ordinary, that is just Flippy wiping the lens with his cloth. Is a really good looking individual, and we've established a new term for these type of individuals. It's called a juvenile. So it is a juvenile in transition to its adult plumage. You can see quite clearly on its breast and face the juvenile plumage. And you can see the adult plumage developing, especially around the ears and around the head. Tyler, that's a fantastic question, and thank you so much for tuning in to Penguin Beach today and spending the day on the beach with us on this chilly winter's day. So the penguins are not too worried about the rain. Their feathers overlap, so their feathers are quite small, but they overlap, and you'll often observe penguins using the preen oil from their preen gland or uropygal gland to douse all over their feathers, and this helps their feathers to become waterproof, and the water simply runs straight off their plumage. So very, very handy to have these feathers that overlap like that, and of course to have that magnificent preen oil that helps to repel water in that fashion. Of course, feathers are one of nature's great insulators, and penguins also have fat deposits that keep them very, very warm. So the air trapped underneath the feathers will become warm because it is in direct contact with the body of these birds. So not too worried about the rain. Of course, if rain does come down horizontal, which it can do in the Western Cape, today at least the wind isn't too hard, but if it rains very, very hard and the rain comes down horizontal, of course the penguins might try and move their position just to be on the other side of a rock so that they don't get absolutely hammered by the rain. We can experience some very, very large raindrops, sometimes even hail, and then they will take the necessary precautions. But on a day like today, they are very, very comfortable, and I'm sure that they actually prefer weather like this in comparison to a hot, hot summer day. Hello, George. That is a great question. I would really love to say that I could tell the personalities of the chicks, but they've played so hard to get, especially for me. So I haven't managed to lock in on them and really get to know them. And I was really hoping at this time, when they start to move into creches, that we would be able to observe them more readily and follow them. I'm sure that time is coming. Maybe today we've just, timing hasn't been on our side, and that's how it is with nature. Sometimes you don't link with the animals that you want to see, which I suppose makes it very, very exciting. It brings that element into it. So I would love to know if Frodo is a bit of a bully. That's what I'm suspecting, just because Frodo hatched first. And I would think that Flippy would be a little bit more timid and smaller and be more submissive towards Frodo, the older sibling. That's what I surmise, at least. I'll be very interested to see if that is in fact true. That's quite typical of penguin siblings to behave in that fashion. Looks like we have been joined by a juvenile Cape cormorant as well.
All WildEarth explorers have a chance to join our naturalists in a monthly fireside chat. This is a great way to learn more about our guides, animal characters, and wildlife locations. We would love to hear from you as to the topics that interest you the most. Email us your ideas or tweet using the hashtag WildEarth, and we will be sure to take them into account when planning our evenings around the fire in the future. WildEarth explorers, it's It's in your nature. June marks World Environment Day, and in aid of creating awareness for the protection of our special planet, we have some new and unique merchandise in our shop. More recently, WildEarth experienced the tragic passing of Hasana, our little chief. To celebrate this leopard's life, we have created some unique Hasana clothes and bags so that his memory can live on forever. Head over to the WildEarth shop today to buy these and other great WildEarth products.
Hannah, who is 10 years old, tuned in yesterday and asked a very specific question. Hannah asked, "What do you call a bird that cannot fly?" And I responded and I said, "Hannah, to my knowledge, I've always just referred to birds that cannot fly as flightless birds." So I did a little bit of research, and I know that my colleague Flippy over here, the camera operator, also tried to assist, and we couldn't find a specific term for a flightless bird other than flightless bird. So I know that flightless birds can often be referred to as retites, but that actually refers to a very specific group of flightless birds that the ostrich belongs to, and doesn't include flightless birds like the penguins. So we're definitely going to have to stay with flightless birds as the term. If any of the viewers have anything to add with regards to that, I would really love to hear from you, because I looked very hard to try and find this answer. So Hannah, thank you for providing me with a lovely challenge yesterday evening. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And Hannah, I hope you are tuning in today to watch some of your favorite characters down here at Penguin Beach. Look at this juvenile that Flippy has found, and look closely on its flank. You'll notice that there is a bare patch. There are no feathers around that area. Arctic Circle, let me see. I hope that I got this question correct. You would like to know what the difference in meters it is between sort of the low and the high tide. So currently we're heading towards a neap tide, so there's not too much tidal movement. There's about 60 centimeters difference between the high and the low tide. But when we get to a spring tide, especially on a full moon spring tide as opposed to a new moon spring tide, there can be quite a great difference. We sometimes find the low tides recorded at 0.33 meters and the high tides at about 1.92 meters. So that is over 1.5 meters of tidal difference. So it definitely depends on the moon phase, and when the moon is in a full moon phase or a new moon phase, we definitely experience a greater tidal movement because the moon is having such a great gravitational impact on the world's oceans. This individual that we are observing, this juvenile, looks like it might have been attacked by one of the marine carnivores in this region, and looking at that wound, I would suspect that it is from a Cape fur seal. We know that Cape fur seals have been hanging out around the Stony Point penguin colony, being quite cheeky and trying to attack the penguins so that they can predate on them to open up their stomachs and eat the partly digested fish. And this juvenile looks like it has fortunately escaped and has made its way onto land and is still looking really good. That is one of the reasons why penguins travel in rafts out at sea in numbers, so that they have greater safety as individuals. And when seals are around close to shore waiting for these penguins to return from their foraging trips, you often see that the penguins will start to porpoise, and that is a very good indication that there is imminent danger close by. So I'm very happy to see that this juvenile has survived a Cape fur seal attack. and has lived to see another day, and will hopefully one day produce offspring of its own down here at Stony Point. I believe Arctic Circle did ask another great question yesterday.
This morning we were driving and suddenly we heard a lot of commotion. I think the wild dogs might have caught an impala then, or the leopard might have caught the impala, and as it was dragging it, the wild dog saw it, started chasing the leopard up into the tree, and then the hyenas came to steal it. But what an incredible sighting.
Ribbon is the matriarch and has recently been seen with injuries to her body. Corky was the previous matriarch and is believed to be taking back her status. Intima was born to Ribbon in February 2017 and also enjoys a high ranking. Heart is the next rank down, and in June is believed to be the lowest rank, easily recognizable by a floppy left ear.
Some lovely small waves crashing onto the rocks, and the African penguin just taking it nice and slow on a Tuesday afternoon. These two are very, very close together. Be interesting to see how they interact with one another. When penguins tolerate each other in such close proximity, it usually indicates that they are a breeding pair. I haven't seen any weapons, by weapons I mean bills and flippers, be directed at one another. It'd be interesting to see what happens when this individual comes past. Straight away, this individual is made aware by this pair that it is not welcome. It's actually been pursued, well, a little bit. Penguins generally don't pursue each other for very long periods, and they don't really cover very long periods if they are distances, if they are going to pursue one another. I love it how quickly conflict is avoided and how quickly conflict is resolved in this species. Very nice to know that they don't fight for too long. Unless you are a juvenile, of course, then fighting can be a little bit prolonged. Hello, Cynthia. We do indeed. So we have a seal that occurs in southern Africa called a Cape fur seal, and it is a very, very successful marine carnivore. The Cape fur seal hunts the penguins in the water the majority of the time, nearly all of the time. Seals are not very, very well adapted to land, although the Cape fur seal is able to rotate its hind flippers and face them forward, which enables them to move on land greater than the true seals, which sort of flop around on their bellies on land and look very, very uncoordinated. I know that Cape fur seals have occasionally been recorded chasing penguins on land, but they mostly predate on them in the water. I've actually only observed one predation at Boulder's penguin colony, and then another right here at Stony Point while watching the live channel. So I've actually only seen it happen twice, but it has become a more common occurrence, and that is mainly because there is competition between the Cape fur seal and commercial fisheries. And Cape fur seals are very, very intelligent and have learnt to hang around penguin colonies and take advantage of an easy snack. So it's quite interesting how the seals have adapted their behavior because of the impacts humans have had on the fish stocks. These three individuals are hanging out quite close to one another.
Three brothers named the Avoca males arrived in Juma in 2018. This area had recently been vacated by the Birmingham boys. In 2019, they were seen mating with females from both prides and went on to sire cubs with them. The most recognizable lion in this coalition is Darkmane. Aside from the dark mane that gave him his name, he can be recognized by a distinctive limp.
In that tree are two carcasses. There's a duiker carcass and a waterbuck. Well, it's not as graceful as... He's a bit hesitant because, well, climbing a tree is not the easiest, but he will get up there eventually. So let's see, there he goes. And look at the power in that. That is a massive 500-pound cat that has just climbed the marula tree and is up in there. How cool is this? I don't know how he's going to do it, but let's see.
There actually seems to be a little bit of a love triangle taking place here. I'm trying to figure out what is going on. Hello, Nelly. Great question, especially that we are in the peak breeding season for the African penguin down here in the Western Cape. So African penguins will lay a clutch of eggs. They normally lay 2 eggs, but they can lay anywhere between 1 to 3 eggs. 3 eggs is really a rarity when it comes to the African penguin. Generally, out of all the eggs that are laid, 1 chick usually fledges. Penguins can be double brooded, so they can breed again within a year, although it is a very small percentage. About 20 to 30% of African penguins might breed again, and even penguins that lose clutches or lose chicks also only have a very small percentage chance to breed again that year. But the statistics show around 20 to 30%. So normally penguins will produce about 1 chick per breeding season. Of course, it depends from individual to individual. I have seen pairs successfully raise 2 chicks until they reach the juvenile stage and they manage to fledge. But there are a number of dangers that the chicks face, especially early on in life when they are exposed to extreme weather and also to a number of predators, mainly avian predators like the kelp gull that roam around these areas. We do spend quite a lot of time down here at Stony Point, of course, and I haven't actually seen any kelp gulls predate on the young chicks. I'm sure that it is happening, but we might just be missing it. Hello, Haley, and thank you so much for that question. I did actually have a look at this a while ago to see what penguins sort of coexist together. And what I picked up is that the majority of penguin species tend to form a single species colony and do not generally breed together. That is certainly the case here in southern Africa, where only the African penguin is a breeding resident, and we get the occasional other penguin species that will pop up here, but they're listed as vagrants. We get 8 other species that have been recorded in southern Africa, but a lot of the time they pop up as individual species. And that is a very, very cool question. I would love to see another penguin species in southern Africa. The last one I heard of was a couple of years ago. A king penguin popped up at the Cape of Good Hope. A lot of the time these vagrant penguin species are seen out at sea by ships, and people try to assist them. So a lot of the time they are actually ship assisted to southern Africa. Quite interesting. Most of the penguins that we are looking at are facing their backs towards the wind, and I think that's because the wind is quite cold. So they have changed their behavior a little bit just to face away from the light rain and also from the cooler temperature. So a very nice example of how they change their behavior in response to certain weather that is taking place at the time. Hello Sebastian, welcome to the Penguin Beach Show, and thank you so much for sending in such an interesting question. So the African penguins, they will mainly gather together early in the morning, form a large group, come down to the water, play a little bit, clean their feathers off, preen, and then they head out offshore, and they split into smaller groups and go off to locate fish or squid that they will predate on. So they mainly head out in the morning, but there are exceptions to the rule, of course, as well. Some penguins like to take a more leisurely swim out to the feeding grounds. So sometimes you see rafts also leaving in the late evening, and they'll take the time to swim slowly overnight, because penguins hunt mainly by sight. They do not really hunt at night at all, and they'll use that time to commute nearly towards the feeding grounds, and then they will start to hunt when there is daybreak. So a good way if they need to travel quite far offshore. Sometimes these birds have to travel greater than 11 kilometers offshore to go and locate fish. And then we have seen now during the breeding season, when a brooding parent is being relieved from looking after the chicks, that parent often leaves the nest, heads out into the water to clean itself, and then disappears through the kelp beds and heads out to sea. So definitely depends on the time of year as well. Sometimes penguins can be sitting on eggs or brooding the chicks for a very, very long period of time, sometimes up to 11 days if their partner is struggling offshore. So they can be quite hungry, of course, at that time.
Well, you can see the hyenas are far more tolerant of vultures than a lion or leopard would be. Occasionally a hyena will bite sort of a couple of tail feathers out of the back of a vulture, but I've never actually seen them, even once they've caught one, actually kill it. Oh, there we go. Nearly got him.
Hyena and hippo walking side by side. Terror etched on the expression of little hippo. Look at this! Last mad dash! Hyena running along beside it. Baby hippo, jaws gaping. It's gonna make it. It's gonna make it. It did it. The baby hippo, against all odds,
There was a very nice question asked yesterday by Billy Wild Guy. Billy Wild Guy, I hope that you are with us today. And Billy Wild Guy asked, how many muscles does it take for a penguin, or how many muscles does a penguin use to make its awesome brain vocalization? And I tell you what, Billy Wild Guy, I could not find that information, and I am still searching for it. I know there has been a lot of research done on penguin vocalizations, but I couldn't find anything specific related to muscles. So that is very, very interesting. And Maya asked another question and asked how large hardy-dart chicks are when they hatch. So I did a little bit of research into this. I haven't been fortunate enough to see a hardy-dart chick. Flippy, you check, there's a raft, it looks like, coming in off the kelp beds. Just keep like focus straight in front of us. We might see a group of penguins. There they are, coming in. Sorry about that. I got very excited just looking at a group of African penguins that might pop in here at the jacuzzi. So I found out when the hardy-dart chicks fledge, they are about 500 grams, but I couldn't find out the exact mass and size when they hatch from their eggs. What I did find out is that their bills are still quite large and long, although they do not have a D curve to it. So very, very interesting questions. And I do have a challenge from my good friend and fellow naturalist, Cedric Dold, who's currently up in the Sabi Sands at the Djuma Private Game Reserve. And Cedric has passed the buck on to me. I know that Jax asked if he could make a vocalization like a penguin. So this challenge has been passed on to me. So let's see what I can produce during today's show. Who knows, maybe even a penguin will respond at some stage, but I think I might be pushing my luck there just a little bit. So this is the group that I was talking about, and Flippy has focused on this raft of penguins, now slowly becoming a waddle of penguins that have returned from offshore hunting fish, and they have all made their way safely to the rocks. They didn't show any signs of distress coming in. There was no porpoising. So it doesn't appear that any Cape fur seals are hassling them today, which is a good sign. I noticed that there were some juveniles that were hanging out with the adults. That juvenile should consider itself quite lucky, because the adults do like to bully them, of course, and exclude them from hunting parties and from rafts. Like to be a little bit nasty to them. And even though the tide is still dropping out, there's still some good wave action at the jacuzzi. Heather, welcome to the show. Great question, Heather, because if you look at penguins, they're so well designed for the ocean, and of course their entire survival depends on being able to swim. So the penguin chicks are not actually taught to swim. You're quite right. It is instinct. It is innate behavior, and penguins are just born with the ability to know how to swim. I have actually seen adults chasing baby blues. So when they are about 60 days old, the juvenile penguins have this very awesome looking blue coloration to their plumage. And I've actually watched them on Foxy Beach at Boulders, the adults chasing these baby blues away from them into the water to say, hey, come on, get out of here now. go and jump in the water, go have a swim. You know how to do it. Of course, these two individuals that we are observing currently are a lot older than that. They have a more blackish brown coloration to their appearance and are likely to be of the age of about 12 to 18 months old.
This is amazing, and now she's headed towards the elephants. Yeah, here comes the male behind us. This is the male lion coming over here. The elephants are huddled up to protect the young ones in the middle, and he's going after that girl. And they are the buffalo going after the lion and the lioness. They're still going after them. Look at that guy charging. Hey!
Hukamore. Oh, here's an impressive looking male leopard. Look at that neck on him. He just looks ready for a fight.
This is only the third time that we are seeing him that is known as the Hukamuri male, and he certainly has a lot of character and atmosphere.
This is gorgeous. Hukamuri having a drink at one of the little seasonal pans.
Isn't he absolutely gorgeous? Compact, powerful, focused. I love it.
We can hear the typical peeping calls of the chicks. Crying for food is quite soft. The Shire nest is still vacant. We haven't seen any activity at the Shire nest. We have had a number of penguins come in from the ocean after feeding. I'm really hoping that one of these penguins walks up to the Shire nest. We can try to figure out where Frodo and Flippy are. So I think it's a good time to take up my friend Cedric Dole's challenge, and actually the entire WildEarth team. So thank you to Rebecca. Rebecca is the mission controller of WildEarth, and she gave the approval to Cedric and the team so that I can do a penguin vocalization. So here is my best attempt of it. I must say it is a very difficult call to master. I think WildEarth, that's as good as I'm going to get. I actually had to practice that with my wife. So I hope that it is up to scratch. And because Cedric, because you have given me such a difficult call to master, Cedric, the challenge for you that I have for you up at the Sabi Sands is the ground hornbill. And it's also because I am a little bit jealous that yourself and Liam have been seeing the ground hornbill, and you promised that I would see one up at Juma. So Cedric, I'm waiting for the ground hornbill vocalization from you. You better deliver. All right, back to the penguins. Let's see what they are up to. No response though, Flippy. Obviously, I don't sound too much like a brain donkey, or at least I suppose I haven't formed any relationships with them, so no, I'm expecting a response, and I don't really hold the territory down here either at Stony Point. I don't have a nest, although I would like to settle in here. It is such a cool place. dead quiet after my vocalization. 2 days in a row. Yesterday the hardy-dar looked like it ran about a meter after it heard me. I've just got the cold shoulder from the African penguins down here today. It's amazing just looking at them like this, you know. You look at those flippers and it reminds me of like these incredible predatory fish like tuna, like how those flippers look. They're just so well designed. Chulu is telling me that he enjoyed my vocalization.
All Wild Earth explorers have a chance to join our naturalists in a monthly fireside chat. This is a great way to learn more about our guides, animal characters, and wildlife locations. We would love to hear from you as to the topics that interest you the most. Email us your ideas or tweet using the hashtag WildEarth, and we will be sure to take them into account when planning our evenings around the fire in the future. Wild Earth explorers, it's in your nature. June marks World Environment Day, and in aid of creating awareness for the protection of our special planet, we have some new and unique merchandise in our shop. More recently, WildEarth experienced the tragic passing of Hasana, our little chief. To celebrate this leopard's life, we have created some unique Hasana clothes and bags so that his memory can live on forever. Head over to the WildEarth shop today to buy these and other great WildEarth products.
Just a little bit of disturbance by individuals that are joining the group. Honey badger. I actually know that I've researched this in the past. How many bones do African penguins have? For me, it's going to be a guesstimate. So I'm going to have to go and recover those statistics, well, not statistics, just to recover that information. Honey badger, that means that you are going to have to join us tomorrow down here at Penguin Beach if you would like to know the answer. So I would like to see you down here tomorrow. So tune in, be sure to tune in. Let's see how many bones an African penguin has in its body. So nice just to watch the ocean doing its thing. It's flowing up and down. There's nothing like the motion of the ocean. And to have African penguins on the rocks in front of it just makes it all that much better. I still can't believe that we get to hang out with penguins every single day. It really is a treat. Flippy, any other birds that are cooler than a penguin? I don't think so. These marine torpedoes are just something else. Flippy says no. I know Flippy likes Cape Clapper larks, so. Hello Lisa, welcome to the show. Thank you so much. You're filling me with confidence. I must say, ever since I returned back from Juma, I've been trying to get the penguin vocalization down, and only this afternoon did I manage to get it down. All the other attempts have been filled with a lot of laughter from whoever was watching me, because my voice would continuously break. I was honestly laughing at myself quite a lot as well. I must say, the African penguin is definitely one of the most difficult birds that I've ever tried to mimic. Yeah, there's a lot of birds that have these beautiful whistling calls that are very easy to just whistle along with. But this braying donkey-like call I have found very, very challenging. And I think Cedric should actually still do the penguin because I've had a good chuckle at him a couple of times as well, trying to do it in the past. But of course we're waiting for a ground hornbill from Cedric at the moment. It's quite a skinny looking juvenile, definitely not going to be molting soon at all. Quite sleek, and it has very beautiful spots on its breast and on the upper belly. And what I really notice under the chin, as soon as I say that, it sort of turns its head, but it's got, looks like about 3 little spots under the chin, just on the white plumage there. I really do find the juveniles to be quite beautiful. It's got itself a nice spot away from a lot of the other penguins. It has a rock all to itself and looks very, very content with life at the moment, although it is starting to move just a little bit.
My favorite thing about WildEarth are the animals and the interaction and the ability to wait and watch and not rush off. You get to watch their behavior and learn about the individual. I would like to see the hyenas at the hyena den, and I have. There they are. Look at that. If I could be any animal, I would be a cheetah. I would love to run fast.
Our Western Cape coastline is graced with the Cape fur seal. This playful species is curious and entertaining. At Hout Bay Seal Rescue Centre, seals in need are rescued, fed and nursed back to health by our well-trained team of dedicated staff and volunteers. This wonderful legacy of the centre is continued as these protected creatures are rehabilitated and released back into the wild.
Look at what these two individuals are up to. As clumsy as you like on land, they will still find a challenging rock to climb. I'm not sure what this individual is up to. It looks like it is sitting sentinel on this rock overlooking the entire colony. Are you trying to keep the colony safe from any potential predators? Looks like it's doing its best impression of a baboon that would sit sentinel and overlook the troop, trying to keep watch for any danger. And it's giving its partner quite a tough time. Its partner wants to follow it up onto that treacherous little rock. Partner has decided not to follow, and I think that is a very, very wise choice.
If you are a WildEarth explorer, we have exciting news for you.
The winner of this month's prize giveaway will win a hamper full of Explorer merchandise.
Like this fantastic t-shirt that comes in plenty of great colors, a very useful tote bag, or even a cap.
For those in the southern hemisphere that's heading into winter, a sweatshirt to keep you warm.
Head over to the WildEarth Explorers page. Sign up to be a WildEarth Explorer and you could win all of these goodies.
WildEarth, it's in your nature. Silly little penguin. Oh, that must have, that's probably one of the worst wipeouts I've actually seen. Good meter drop straight onto very, very hard rocks. It just shows what strong birds they are. Of course, penguins have solid bones, so they're quite solid birds, and they can take knocks like this on the rocks. I'm just very glad to see that it's up and mobile again. What I've noticed about Stony Point and the kelp gulls around here do look very, very lazy. We have seen them eat cormorant carcasses. The other day we were quite fortunate to see a pair, I would like to say share a West Coast rock lobster, but the male did most of the eating of that, and the female seemed to just get a little bit of flesh. But gulls are very opportunistic, and that's a good spot to keep a watch out, see if any of the other animals capture any food that it can steal. The kelp gull definitely doesn't get invited to the bird parties that take place at Stony Point. It's excluded. It definitely does not make the guest list. And that's what happens when you cause a lot of trouble and take other species, or even the same species, food. Not very loved, although I must say I do admire the kelp gulls and how well adapted they are. They are really awesome predators, and it's a privilege to observe them. Flippy, these two that we are watching now, is that the pair that waddled after they fell? So you can see that the individual that fell, not too worried at all. Making their way down to the water together, doing their best to stay, well, at least the one at the back is doing its best to stay close to the individual in the front. Individual in the front looks like it's in quite a hurry to go have a swim. Adrian, thank you so much, and I'm so stoked that you enjoyed the show down here with all the African penguins. And of course, Flippy and myself would love to thank you for joining us, and I really cannot wait to see what happens tomorrow. I want to see these chicks down here at the Shire. They are really keeping me waiting. It's going to make it all that much sweeter when we do get to observe them all together. I'm thankful that the rain stayed away and that we could have an entire Penguin Beach show. So thank you to the weather gods for making it possible. So everyone stay tuned for the sunset safari, because of course Cedric is going to be doing his best impression of a southern ground hornbill, and I can't wait to see that. I'm so stoked that it is also sunny at Djuma and Prideland, so that is very, very cool. From myself down here at Penguin Beach, and from Flippy behind the lens, cheers everyone, and enjoy the sunset safari.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.